Well, thank you, Katie, and thank you for inviting me to be here today. I'd like to start by recognising the SMMT, which has been this sector's loudest voice and biggest champion. I know today's event focuses on the future, but the debates on charging capacity, on cost, on convenience, they're not new. Because around 120 years ago, when the founding members of the SMMT first met, we were in the first golden age for electric vehicles. London streets welcomed their first battery-powered taxis, and the land speed record had just been broken by an EV. It's true, you can Google it. The legacy of EVs is a long one, where parallels can be drawn with the present day. Facing us now is an opportunity to build on that legacy, to reduce emissions from our most popular form of transport, and to secure the future of our world-class automotive industry. This government recognises the transition to EVs is not simply a nice to have, but essential. It's essential for the climate, as road transport continues to emit around 90% of domestic transport emissions. It's essential for our own energy security, because in an increasingly volatile world, cleaner sources of power will reduce our dependence on imports. And it's essential for this government that has made economic growth, clean energy and improving living standards our top priorities. We knew this fundamental transition, like any big change, wasn't going to be easy. But with each passing year, we see record numbers of drivers going electric. They recognise, as we all do, that there's never been a better time to switch. And you can see why. 2 in 5 used electric cars are now under £20,000. Drivers can save up to £790 a year if they mostly charge at home. And most people can now get 2 weeks of driving on a single charge from an average new EV. What's more, this positive sentiment is backed up by cold, hard industry numbers. 1 in 4 of all new cars sold last month was an EV, following almost 400,000 sold last year. New electric van registrations grew to 9.7% in February, and in 2024, the UK was the biggest EV market in Europe. So my message today is simple. Let's not waste this progress. Working with industry, we will maintain this momentum. We will continue to reduce understandable charging anxiety and increase ownership. And we will give our world-class automotive supply chain, 150,000 people strong, the clear trajectory they deserve. So let me cover 3 areas, starting with how we're going to provide you with certainty. Our ambition is clear. No new cars relying solely on combustion engines will be sold after 2030. And the trajectory to 2030 is fixed. And all new cars and vans will need to be 100% zero emission by 2035. Those pledges are ironclad. Key to this is the ZEV mandate, a requirement for increasing proportions of new cars to be zero emission by 2030 on a pathway to 2035. It is the largest carbon-saving measure across government and the world's most ambitious framework of its kind. We want to be a government that does things with industry, not to industry. That's why we consulted on how we deliver the mandate sensibly, on the technology and vehicle choices we'll make after 2030, and on the steps we'll take to support domestic manufacturing. Thank you to everyone for your contributions. During the consultation, the the Secretary of State, officials and I engaged with many of you, and I appreciate your time and feedback. We're working through your responses now, and we'll look to publish a response later in the spring. Secondly, let me turn to how we're building confidence among consumers. We know charging convenience is key to EV adoption. People rightly want reassurance that they can charge a car as conveniently as filling one up. And day by day, we're listening and taking action. Already, consumers can access 24/7 helplines, live charge point data, and contactless payment at many charge points. At the last budget, we announced £200 million investment to continue powering the charge point rollout, unlocking £6 billion of private investment in the process. This will allow us to build on an already formidable public charging network, now 75,000 number across the UK, a 32% increase since this time last year. And that's in addition to the 680,000 households in England that have access to a domestic charger. But we need to go further. That's why we're running hell for leather to deliver the charging infrastructure we need to meet our ZEV targets. It's why, in December, we confirmed that over 100,000 charge points will be installed across local authorities in England thanks to our Levi Fund. It's why we've delivered 1,400 new charge sockets outside schools and colleges over the past 12 months. And it's why we've extended the home and workplace grants for another year. So I've talked about how we're providing regulatory certainty and how we're building consumer confidence. Let me finally talk about what more we're doing to demonstrate this government's commitment to the EV transition. Last month, we confirmed that £120 million will be available in grants next year for plug-in vans, wheelchair-accessible vehicles, motorbikes and taxis. But arguably, our biggest challenge will be to decarbonise HGVs. Almost all of our freight is carried by road. So when we talk about building a green economy, cleaner HGVs must be a part of that. We've listened to your concerns about the high upfront cost and limited infrastructure, and we're wasting no time in breaking down these barriers. Our £200 million zero-emission HGV and infrastructure demonstrator is at the heart of that transformation. Over 230 zero-emission HGVs have been ordered, with more than 30 already delivered. Last week, I unveiled the map of 54 planned infrastructure locations funded through the programme, providing a nationwide network of sites. This infrastructure will bolster the private sector investment already in the UK. A great example being Mylens's new HGV charging hub, which opened last week in Immingham. Thanks to real investment, real infrastructure and real commitment from government and industry, we're moving towards the biggest transformation in road freight for a generation. So, certainty, confidence and commitment. 3 building blocks that will underpin this transition, and the very areas that I, as Future of Roads Minister, will prioritise. Of course, government cannot deliver an EV future alone. It's why, throughout our 8 months in office, we've listened to valued partners like the SMMT. And by seeking to address your concerns, we will remain ambitious, yet do so in a way that sets the industry up for success. Because the prize is huge. A thriving UK automotive industry across the country. A growing green economy that's less reliant on foreign energy. And better living standards, from cleaner air to more money in the pockets of Britain's drivers. That's the ambition, and I look forward to working with all of you to achieve it. Thank you.